If you're the founder of a business or you're the owner of a business, it's pretty easy to be passionate about that. If you're the guy at the end of the chain who is the lowest rung on the pay scale, how do you get that person to share the same passion that the people that started the business have?
Well, again, you just cannot fake authenticity. I mean, be passionate about what you're doing, and it's infectious. But if you're trying to hammer people with coercion or just with profit motivation, they'll do 9 to 5, and they'll salute, and then that's it. They'll go home and do their own thing. I'm saying you got to infect people with a positive epidemic that inspires them to give you more. And when they give you more, you're going to get more. This is a pure capitalist model I'm talking about. It's not some like we are the world sort of a sweet thing. I'm saying love makes money. We've never tried it. Do well and do good. Do well by doing good.
Let's take some more comments or questions, sir.
When you face to the bad situation, if you lost the passion, you will fail. If you have the passion, you will find the solution to overcome any difficulty. So I agree with you.
I think you found your Chinese match here. Let's get another point. Sir, let's take a point from you down here at the front.
You talked about passion and love. Love is blind. So don't you think sometimes, you talked about some cases where people have been passionate, but they've also been sensible, they've had a lot of common sense. There are a lot of passionate people who, because they were blinded, they did not have the knowledge, not fear, but they did not have the knowledge, have created wrecks.
Okay, let's get John to respond to that.
Look, there's a lot of intelligent people in this room. There's a whole bunch of brilliant folks that are involved in this economic crisis. I think it's very easy to say, oh, well, I was passionate. No, you were greedy. And you had a focus on me and not we. Look, there's a company called Wells Fargo in America, $500 billion. Short version, 5 years ago or 4 years ago, the CEO of the mortgage company was approached by a broker, and they said they wanted to give them these newfangled loans. They said no. Employees quit. Bosses questioned market share. They held their ground because it was a dignity-based approach to doing business. To make a long story short, 4 years later, they got the business. And they would actually tell the borrower, hey, you came in for one loan, we can give you a better deal. We re-underwritten you, you qualify for a better deal, and would still pay the broker, but gave the borrower a better deal at a lower rate. Well, guess what? That company's not involved with this subprime mortgage crisis. That company has a AAA credit rating today, has a good reputation, and they're profitable. Love makes money.
John, thank you very much indeed for that. John Hope Bryant, ladies and gentlemen. We got to take a quick break. We're going to be back in just a moment. Stay with us here. We're going to bring you more on this debate. When we come back, we're going to hear the case for power.
Ernst & Young are proud to be associated with the World Economic Forum's annual meeting of the new champions in Tianjin. Ernst & Young, quality in everything we do. Ernst & Young are proud to be associated with the World Economic Forum's annual meeting of the new champions in Tianjin. Ernst & Young, quality in everything we do.
Welcome back, everybody, to our CNBC debate. What wins now? We are in Tianjin in China. We're asking what drivers will lead us out of the current financial crisis. We just heard the case for passion, but what about power? Have governments and regulators been asleep at the wheel? Would we be in this mess if authority had been exercised early enough and appropriately? Let me invite Professor Sandeep Parekh to put forward the case now for power.
Professor Sandeep Parekh from the Indian Institute of Management.
Cheer up, guys, about the financial crisis. The worst is yet to come. Respectfully disagree with John. This is not the time for passion. This is not about entrepreneurship. We're looking at a crisis right in its face, in its eyes. We need dispassionate analysis of the problem. We don't need passion at this stage. We need passion when we want to grow businesses. Right now, we are in a very, very precarious situation. All of us know about that. Either you're sitting on the lunch table or you're part of the menu. Clearly, power comes with responsibility. And along with responsibility, the righteous use of power is the solution to the problem which we are facing. And the exercise of power implies restraint of that exercise as well. And that's probably what we need to do at this point of time. Let me be more specific. We've just seen 2 bailouts in the last 3 weeks, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and AIG now. And we're also looking at a huge package of $700 billion plus, which is going to come out of taxpayers' money. It's not free money. It's coming out of people like you and me, not me directly. I don't live in the US. But it is coming out of taxpayers' money. And the problem is not the bailout. Maybe we will argue about this after 5 years, after 10 years, whether the bailout was the right thing to do or not. But the problem is that the managers who made a huge packet, they're walking away smiling. The shareholders who are ultimately responsible for the performance of these companies are still sitting on 20% equity in all 3 of these entities. So we are looking at a huge moral hazard. We are looking at rewarding shareholders for non-performance. We are looking at management which is not performed, which is actually messed up not just their firms, but the entire economy being rewarded with taxpayers' money. So clearly, there is a case for power and restraint of power. And that's my case. Thank you.
Sandeep, thank you very much indeed. Please, can I invite questions, comments from the audience? Who would like to get involved at this point? I've just got a point to make here. I mean, the most chilling words that you can ever hear is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help, surely. Where has the government been, where have the regulators been when we've needed them to make sure that our money is safe? They were not there. We are now in this situation. Why should we believe that power exercised now is going to be appropriately exercised?
I think you make a very good point in terms of how the government has reacted. And I think we need to go back 70 years. We don't need to go back 5 or 10 years. And the whole structure of the financial regulation is very, very disturbing. You have 50 securities regulators in the US. You have 50 insurance regulators in the US. You have 1 federal regulator on top of that. You have the Federal Reserve and various arms of the Federal Reserve. Clearly, there is fragmentation in regulation. There's no unified vision. And I think clearly there needs to be a complete relook at the way regulation needs to. I was myself a regulator a few months back, so I take some blame for my country's problems. But clearly there's a lot to be done in terms of, getting the philosophy right before writing down those regulations.
How should we understand power? We've chosen to interpret it as government and regulation, or at least I have in this case. But clearly every entrepreneur or CEO in this room exercises authority over the people that work for them. They, I guess, have to ask themselves whether they're using an appropriate balance of sticks and carrots. Does the comments that you've made here today, or do the comments you've made here today, apply to that situation?
Absolutely. I think regulation is only part of the story. The real part comes from inside, I think. It's instead of, not passion, but instead of going from quarter to quarter, John made that point already, I think there needs to be more vision from inside of the company. And that's where I think a large part of the solution